Are you an entrepreneur that deals with complexity and multiple systems on a day-to-day basis? Then you might love this week's business book review. The book is called Simple Rules: How to Thrive in a Complex World by Sull and Kathleen Eisenhardt. This book is great if you're noticing that your world seems to be getting increasingly more complex, despite all of the technology that is supposedly making our lives easier. The premise of the book is, well, simple. Often people attempt to address complex problems with complex solutions, but meeting complexity with complexity can create more confusion than it resolves. This book attempts to provide strategies for breaking down complex systems into well-defined activities or decisions, and then it provides strategies to develop simple, easy-to-follow rules that free up your mental bandwidth for more important or more enjoyable things in life. The authors have identified 6 broad categories of rules that you want to establish. Boundary rules, the process of selecting between 2 mutually exclusive alternatives. Prioritizing rules, which rank multiple options. Stopping rules, which dictate when to reverse a decision. Process rules, which identify how to do things better. Coordination rules for when something needs to get done with multiple actors. And then timing rules would be the 6th one, and that centers on getting things done in situations where deadlines might be present. The book is filled with a lot of examples that make these abstract concepts a lot easier to comprehend. I give it a 4 out of 5 head tilts, and the only reason for not getting it a full 5 out of 5 is because I did find that at the end, I felt much more capable of simplifying things in my life, but yet still not entirely clear on where to start. I felt like I needed some specific instructions or exercises in order to identify the right rule for the right situation. And it very well, by the way, might have been in the book, but it just didn't jump out at me, which is probably, to be fair, more of a comment on my lack of understanding, more so than their lack of content. Here are a few excerpts from the book that really stood out for me. Complicated solutions can overwhelm people, thereby increasing the odds that they'll stop following the rules. Simple rules work best when flexibility matters more than consistency. Both flexibility and consistency have their advantages, but increasing one reduces the other. There are some situations where the balance tips in favor of consistency. One of the big takeaways for me in the book was this notion that simple rules minimize the risk of overweighing peripheral decisions. In other words, we tend to think that the more information that we consider, the better the decision we are going to make. They argue the opposite, but sometimes too many variables just add complexity and confusion, making it harder to understand what really is the most important criteria. In fact, it reminded me a lot of what Keith Cunningham refers to as drivers in his book, The Ultimate Blueprint for an Insanely Successful Business, which I've already reviewed. I'll make sure to include the link in this review in the comments section. If you read this book, please let me know what you think and even share some of your favorite lines in the comments below. In fact, please use the comments section to also recommend books that you think I might enjoy. Some of my favorite books have come from recommendations of people that I respect, so I want to hear from you. Also, if you like these reviews, you might want to subscribe and turn on that notification so the next time I release a book, you'll be the first to know. Coming up, I'll be reviewing Turnover is Vanity, Profit is Sanity by Dan Bradbury, and The Crux by Richard Rumelt, and Before You Say Anything by Victoria Wellman. Until then, let's all try a little harder to be a little better. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch that book review. If you liked it, I think you might like this one as well. Check it out.